Hi there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Roundtable with me, your host, Simon Conboy. With me today, as usual, we've got Arnie.
Hi, guys.
And Dan.
Hello there.
So, at the midway point of the season now, Week 9's just happened. I think we'll just start with a few thoughts. What have we all thought of the season so far?
It took a while to get any sort of consistency.
Yeah.
The best part. I mean, I think the last couple of weeks we've seen a lot more consistency from teams. I think I know what teams are now, whereas in the first, say, 6 weeks, we didn't really.
We've got a better idea, I think.
Yeah.
What we're starting to see is, I think, the teams that are just mediocre are sort of starting to really look that way. It's just there's a few good teams. I think there's less good teams than there normally are.
Yeah, I was going to say my takeaway from this season is raging mediocrity with a couple of gems.
Yeah, I mean, the few good teams, I think they stand out that little bit more, but we are starting to see things. I mean, some teams have just been ravaged by injury as well, which always happens. I think this year, though, maybe a few more, because I think if we look through those teams, I mean, the Packers, doomed by Aaron Rodgers' injury. The Ravens are just so beat up, as has been the case, that I think their season's been just sabotaged. The Texans, they were looking good, but you know they've just been killed by injuries. And I would say the Giants, but I think they stink anyway. But yeah, that's been the case, and I think the NFC certainly looks a lot better than the AFC this year.
Yeah, I would say so.
And some real disappointments. So I think we can all agree the big disappointments this year. I mean, you're looking at the Giants, my Buccaneers, the Raiders. I think they're the three that stand out. Anyone else?
Well. I'd say the Falcons as well.
Yeah, to a degree. And also the decline of the Broncos. That's been disappointing.
I was just about to say that.
They started the season looking real good, and now it's a mess. I never thought we'd see Brock Osweiler again. Did any of you see the meme, though, of Brock Osweiler throwing the ball, and there's like 3 Eagles defenders?
Brock Osweiler said this was open.
It's the best, one of the best NFL memes I've seen. You got all 3 Eagles players like making a play on the ball, and the receiver in the area has no idea where the ball is, and it's running in the opposite direction. Brock Osweiler in a nutshell. So that was fun. Didn't have too many injuries though. But are there any other teams we think been big disappointments? I think I kind of nailed it there.
Wait, hold on. Are we talking that we thought would be better than they were this season, or just general disappointment?
Just disappointment by any measure.
Oh, bloody hell! Hold on. Let's go through the list. The Buccaneers, definitely.
Yeah, already said that.
Yeah.
We got Giants, Bucks,
Miami,
Falcons. I think Miami you can throw in there as well. Yeah, I thought they'd be better than
Tennessee. If anyone watches Tennessee games,
considering what's happened in the division, it's been disappointing.
Arizona, technically.
Arizona are what I thought they'd be. I can get, as a Cardinals fan, I can understand being disappointed with them.
Denver, obviously the biggest one.
Considering how the season began, yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the main squads.
For me,
I think have been disappointing.
The Raiders, Bucks, and Giants are the 3 for me. That's the trifecta of crushing disappointment. Because I think going into the season, most people thought they would be playoff teams.
Yeah.
Bucks maybe not, but Bucks maybe pushing towards it.
Well,
I mean, you have talking about the Giants and the Raiders as potential Super Bowl teams.
Well, I'd argue the Bucks are probably more disappointing because you don't have the injury excuse. The Giants, I don't think they have receivers anymore. So yeah,
they don't have the injury excuse though, because they were terrible before those receivers went down.
True.
And that defense has just been such a mess in the last few weeks. And the Raiders are that offense is just not clicking.
No, Oh, it's really weird. And the signing of Marshawn Lynch now looks absolutely stupid.
I don't know. He's been okay.
Yeah,
It's been what I expected, to be honest.
Yeah, but when you're poised to be a Super Bowl contender, you don't sign a running back as good as Marshawn Lynch was under the premise of he'll be okay.
To me, the disappointment stems from the offensive line. They're just last year they were a top 3 unit. This year they've been very average. I think that's just kind of affected everything. And Amari Cooper, on a weekly basis, you don't know if he's going to turn up or not. I don't think that's helped. But we'll talk about those more in detail. We'll just move on to the games. No real big injuries, or is there any big news you want to? Actually, I do want to talk about one thing. This week we saw a lot of players getting rather frazzled, shall we say?
Yeah.
I think it's a mid-season thing. I think especially for teams that are poised to be decent and some of the team, I think there's a disconnect in the locker room between certain teams. I mean, like Seattle has always, for years, has been known as, I'm not saying they're the ones who did it, but the offense and the defense in that locker room are...
Seattle, the last 2 years, it's always felt like it's very much on a knife edge.
Yeah, and then you get, the Bengals, obviously, the way they started the season, AJ Green blowing up. I mean, of all the receivers, though, that's like Fitz. That's like Fitz throwing a paddy. That's just bizarre.
The one this reminds me of is Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan. Yeah. Because Andre Johnson was just like the calmest, most like gentle giant of a man. And AJ Green's like that. He's just like silent most of the time. And I don't know what Jalen Ramsey was doing to get him to erupt like that, but
he told him he was soft.
You're reading that off the NFL site, aren't you? 'Cause that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I just read that.
It seems like there's got to be more to it than that. I'm pretty sure AJ Green.
To be honest, though, if you're AJ Green, though, I mean, look how the season started. Look at the position the Bengals are in. I'd be frustrated as well, and it's probably one of those things.
Oh yeah.
The straw that broke the camel's back and all that.
He's been that offense for the last 2 seasons because Tyler Eifert can't stay healthy. This year, I like their running backs, but their offensive line is trash, so they cancan't run the ball.
I mean, the AJ Green thing is probably
just like you're an all-world type receiver, and just
the thing is, I think the AJ Green thing is the same as the your wide receiver. His name escapes me right now.
Evans is.
Yeah, it's frustration. It's all it is. I mean, especially for the Bucks, it's going to be worse because they've got to play 16 straight. So
it's not just that. It's in the terms of the Bucks. This was the week I defended them previously because whilst they were stinking it up, the mentality of the team always like they looked together. They were playing like crap, but this week was the first time we saw the team look like they'd just quit. That second half was just atrocious. Like the Saints scored like the 2 quick scores, and then both teams were just like, "Oh, well, this game's over," and it just kind of the last 20 minutes were just nothing. And yeah, for Evans to erupt like that, I mean, Jameis Winston has to shoulder a lot of the blame because it was just stupid, and then Evans has just overreacted and been suspended for a game, and I can't argue with it. If he'd been ejected, I would maybe argue against the suspension because we've seen that kind of thing before. But I think if you miss the ejection, you've got to suspend him.
And there's also the Vontae Davis benching, which was bizarre. May I also add?
Well, he's not long for that team. So, have a look at some of the young guys. I don't know what the Colts, I suppose that's the big news this week as well. The Colts, Andrew Luck, he's put on IR now.
Wait, hold on. Can we point out the fact that a member of our very team called this 2 weeks ago? Because Arnie called this 2 weeks ago. He said on the podcast that Andrew Luck is rumoured to not be returning for the rest of the season and his career might be over. And then 2 weeks later, the media picks up on it.
Yeah, I'm not... The career thing, I don't know, I'm slightly... I find it hard to believe that would be the case, but we'll see. He's been shut down the rest of the year. I'm sure he won't be throwing for a long period of time, considering apparently every time he does it, there's soreness. So, they just need to give him a big old rest, and hopefully he'll be back, because otherwise this Colts team is dire.
There's rumours of he might have to have surgery again.
Yeah, well.
Which they're saying potentially he might not return till midway of next year.
Which is a crying shame, by the way, because obviously Arnie, being a Tennessee fan, will still agree with us. He is probably one of the best QBs in this league, and he's amazing to watch.
Yeah, he's great fun to watch.
Yeah.
The amount of that's the thing with the QBs getting hurt this year. It's all the most fun ones. Deshaun Watson, Rodgers.
With Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson, it's kind of a case for me where it's just like I hate to like them. I shouldn't like them, but they are so much fun to watch, and I do really like them when they're not playing Tennessee.
Yeah,
not doing well, you know.
I mean, it goes from one of the more fun divisions quarterback-wise, because as bad as Blake Bortles is, he's enjoyable to watch because I like watching train wrecks.
That's the thing with this division.
I've got to give credit.
Quarterbacks are healthy in the division at the moment. I mean, Bortles is playing pretty well, and if you put the other two quarterbacks healthy, there's some good quarterbacks in this division right now. When they're healthy.
When they're healthy, yeah. Because when you're going to like the Tom Savage, Brissett's been okay, but
yeah,
it's a shame. I mean,
they should stay healthy either. So
if Russell Wilson gets injured, then it's like, well, arguably the three most enjoyable QBs to watch all on IR.
Yeah,
that would be sad. I think it's fair to say they're probably the three most enjoyable to watch.
I'd say Big Ben, but not so much this year.
Not so much this year, no. The Steelers have been the Le'Veon Bell show this year.
Yes, they have.
With Antonio Brown also chipping in, because it turns out you don't necessarily need great quarterback play for him to be productive.
No.
Anything else anyone wants to throw out there before we move in onto the games?
No, I think that's about it. Just looking for some news. No.
No, nothing here unless you want to address the Vikings thing.
Vikings thing, what? Bradford being on IR, Bridgewater being back.
Yeah, the whole do they start Bridgewater thing. I mean, I can't remember if it was this podcast or I've made my thoughts clear about this. They'd be stupid to bench Keenum at this point.
Oh yeah, we were discussing it before. I think we're all in agreement. Like, they're playing solidly right now, and you just don't know what you've got with Bridgewater. I wouldn't rock the boat.
Yeah, I think we said before, like, the only way I'd say about putting Bridgewater in is if the season starts to take a turn, and then they have faith in that Bridgewater is fully healthy and can come back and make an impact for this team and help them with the playoffs.
Well, I don't think he'd be reactivated if he wasn't capable health-wise of playing.
Yeah, I don't think it's 100%.
He's not going to be 100%, I think, from a football shape standpoint, because he's not played for so long.
Yeah.
I think, but the mere fact he's being reactivated says to me, health-wise, they're not too concerned. If he has to play, he'll play. But and the thing is, this Vikings team, this defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense. Like, we've seen quarterbacks. I mean, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. And this Vikings team, I really do think they're that caliber. I think they're the best defense in the NFL. And I think they can. Keenum doesn't make mistakes, so he gives them a shot.
Yeah.
One thing I will do actually before we go through this, I want to still go through which teams we think make playoffs. So we'll start with division winners. So I'll just go for each one. Just throw a team out there. If we feel like it's controversial, maybe we'll explain it. So NFC North, I've got Vikings.
Vikings.
Absolutely Vikings.
Yeah. Can anyone see the Lions being a threat to them?
No.
I'm not convinced either. Maybe a wild card if they can start playing well offensively, but Packers are done. Theirs aren't good enough. That's how I look at it. The AFC North, it's got to be the Steelers. My prediction, I've got to say, I've got this bang on with the AFC North. I said the Steelers would win it in a cakewalk because everyone else is bad.
Yeah, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, we all pretty much agreed on this, yeah.
Yeah, so bang on there. No wild card from that one. I don't think any of those teams have a shot. Go with the East. NFC East, Eagles. I called this one at the start of the season. I did say this team would be good. I didn't think they'd be this good.
I think
they've got a 3-game slate already. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's all but over.
And they're playing as well as anyone.
And then there's also the question of how do you actually stop them? I can't figure out how. They are trouncing teams, even good teams at the moment.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is on fire at the moment. The defensive line is superb. Expecting
Jai seems to be helping as well.
Yeah, they look like they're going to be hard to stop. Could see the Cowboys getting a wild card spot though, depending what happens with Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I can see that one.
I've got to say, I'm very impressed with what the Cowboys have done defensively this year.
Yeah, considering we all thought they were going to be a whitewash defense.
Their defensive line's playing great. Sean Lee is staying healthy. And when he's healthy, he's a heck of a player. I can't see the Redskins making it. They just feel a bit too limited. I think Cousins is playing pretty well, but it was
got a lot of help around him.
Yeah. They could compete for a wild card, though. AFC East, well, the Patriots are going to win that one.
Oh, yeah.
But who's the wild card?
I potentially see a wild card coming out of this division, though.
I can see the Bills getting a wild card spot.
Not the other two, but the Bills, I think, will contend for a playoff spot. I'm not sure if they will definitely make it.
I think at this stage, though, you can already argue the Jet season has been a massive success.
Yeah. Well, we'll get on to the wild card.
They won more games than anyone thought they would win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, mad props to the Jets. Very impressed with them this year. They're not a horrible team.
No.
And that rookie safety pairing's come really good for them. I'll move on to the Southern divisions. The NFC South, I mean, it looks like the Saints at the minute.
I think the Saints will take this one. The Panthers have been too hit and miss. Yeah,
I think the Panthers are very limited. The Falcons and the Bucks both very disappointing.
The thing is, though,
both of those offenses. Ugh.
In a sense, though, I could realistically see the Falcons pulling it together to end out the season. This is my only problem with it. But based on performance through nine weeks, I'm going to say the Saints are running away with it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints, I've still yet to see them get a really impressive win, but defensively they're playing pretty well. Drew Brees is playing great, and that run game. I did say Alvin Kamara was going to be a star, and he's the focal point of that offense right now.
Yeah.
Do we see the Panthers getting a wild card? I think defensively they're good enough.
No.
However, because I see the wild card coming from a different two other divisions.
Yeah, if we do a wild card,
Cowboys.
If we do a wild card round at the end of this, because I think all of us are going to have massively differing wild cards.
Yeah, pretty much at consensus with division winners. I mean, we've been fairly simple and just gone with the teams at the top so far, but we get one that's a bit interesting now. The AFC South. I'll let you start this one, Arnie.
Oh, Tennessee's taking this one.
Titans.
But I do see whoever doesn't win this division. Well, let's face it, the other two teams are done. Whoever doesn't win this division, the other does. The other goes to the playoffs. Their wild card comes out of this division this year. With how weak the AFC has been this year, the wild card comes from this division.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I want to pick the Titans.
The Titans will get it going, and I think as a whole, I think the defensively, I think Tennessee has been playing a hell of a lot better over the last few games. Offensively, we're slowly picking it up, very slowly, but I think we will eventually get the ball rolling, and I think we'll be that team we were last year eventually.
I'm going to go with the Titans just because, as much as Blake Bortles hasn't been a disaster for the last few weeks.
You have to expect it will be
I just can't roll with Blake Bortles. I just can't do it. I think the Jags are the better team right now, for sure, than Tennessee. But it just feels like at some point, Blake Bortles is going to do something Bortlesian. So I'll go with the Titans, but I could definitely see the Jags being a wild card. Finish up with the Western divisions. NFC West. Do we think the Rams are going to keep this going?
Yes.
Of course they do. I said in the off-season that they were my dark horse team, and I'm going to carry on with that, and I would be right.
Have we ever seen a turnaround like Jared Goff's? I don't know if I have.
The thing is, when I had them as my dark horse in the off-season, I expected the offense to get more of a lift, and I expect the offense more to go on Todd Gurley, which it has. But I didn't expect Jared Goff to be as good as he's been.
I don't think anyone did.
McVay has worked wonders. He is definitely, I think he's already coach of the year, but in my opinion.
Woo, McVay fan club. Woo.
Started by me.
It depends. If the Bills get there, I think those would be your two front runners for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, McVay deserves. I don't know. The Seahawks. I think that loss at the weekend was tough. The Rams have a bit of a lead. I'm going to go with the Rams because they've got a pretty soft schedule. I think that will allow them to hold up. And I watched the Seahawks team, and I just think this offense, it's going to cost them a couple of games down the line. So I can't see them making that up. The AFC West, I mean, this one's a bit easy, isn't it? It's going to be the Chiefs.
Chiefs, and for the first time in a long time, the other wild card does not come from this division.
The Raiders have a shot. I mean, even the Chargers do. It's going to be tough, though. So, wild cards then. Who are our two NFC wild cards?
NFC, I'm going with Seattle and Dallas.
Dan?
For the NFC, well, nothing from the North. Oh, this is my problem, because I could realistically see the Falcons challenging. I can see Dallas and the Redskins challenging. And obviously the Seahawks and, by some miracle, the Cardinals. I don't know.
That's a lot of faith in Drew Stanton right there.
Well, he's 7-3 as a starter as of
you keep clinging to that stat.
Right, I'll put it this right. I'm going to say this now. If Arizona beat the Seahawks this Thursday with Drew Stanton under center, with obviously,
if that happens, you need to buy a Drew Stanton jersey.
I will. I actually will. If we can beat the Seahawks this Thursday, I'm calling the Cardinals as a wild card because they can challenge in that division at that point. But realistically, at this point, I'm going to say the Falcons and Seahawks. That was painful, by the way, to say.
I'm going with Panthers and Seahawks, and you know how much I hate the Panthers. I just think the Zeke suspension is going to kick in, and I don't think Dallas will have enough. So that's where I'm going. And Des Bryant has been such a disappointment for me this year.
Yeah.
That I think if you take Zeke out of the equation, I think that offense will just be relying on Dak Prescott to do far too much, and they kind of lose their identity. So I think the Panthers, they're going to find ways to keep winning games ugly. Defense is playing great.
I just don't see the Zeke suspension happening this year.
Fair enough. Oh, it's a caveat. If he plays all 16 games, I think the Cowboys get there ahead of the Panthers. In the AFC, who have we got?
I have got. So I think the strongest wildcard contender is whoever doesn't win the AFC South, which is really weird to say, by the way.
Yeah, it's just the schedule. It's the main reason I can say the Seahawks so confidently is because I look at the schedule that division has and just like, well, they'll pick up some easy wins along the way.
I have got. It's going to be weird to say. Jacksonville Bills.
Yeah, I've got the same.
That's weird for me to
the
say.
Bills finally break the streak. Dan, are you on the Jags and Bills bandwagon?
Well, is there really any other choice at this point?
I will say, if the Chargers win this weekend,
oh no, wait,
I think
no.
the Chargers get.
I've got one better. I've got the Bills and the Jets.
It's ambitious.
Well, no, only because Jacksonville are only 5-3. New York's 4 and 5, miracles can happen. Plus, I want to add a bit.
Dolphins are 4 and 4.
I want to add a bit of.
That more.
Yeah, but Miami have got the worst 2 quarterbacks in the league. I want to add a bit of spice to this. I want to be controversial.
Jay Cutler played all right Sunday night, actually.
I think he's up for nomination for Player of the Week, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
It was just weird seeing the Jay Cutler dinky dunk offense. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. He was efficient, throwing short passes and making good decisions. It was like, what was going on? This isn't the Jay Cutler. Who replaced Jay Cutler with this fake? That said, he still didn't show any enthusiasm. So
no, I'm gonna. Man, the AFC is so boring to pick from though, because it's literally the Jags and the Bills, realistically. Oh, actually, on that account,
Raiders, Chargers have a shot.
On that account,
but that's mainly because I can see the Bills and the Jags tanking.
However,
because the Bills, like you know me, I'm the head of the Bills bandwagon this year.
Me and you have both picked the 2 teams who can.
I got on that bandwagon early, but the Bills have done this before, where they have a good first half of the season. It was like, oh, maybe this is the year they finally make the playoffs this millennium, and then it all goes to pot.
Yeah, although actually with
and losing to the Jets in the manner they did last week, it was like flashbacks of Dick Duron, like having 6 and 2 starts and then finishing 8 and 8.
Although I can go one step further, picking the Jags and the Bills is if it comes that win the wild card round. If the Jags face Tennessee, the Jags lose. If Tennessee faces the Bills win.
We'll get to that when we're at that point of the year. So we'll move on to the games. So Thursday night we got Seahawks Cardinals. Not the most exciting game. A couple of years ago, it was like the best game in the league.
Well, it was my favourite game of last year.
And now this year, it's 2 of the worst offensive lines ever constructed.
And the Cardinals secondary has not been very good this year.
It's not, but I mean the Seahawks. I mean we saw the Cardinals like to blitz, and that's what the Redskins did this weekend.
The Redskins brought one man. They rushed with one man and they got to Russell Wilson. I don't know if you guys saw that play. They rushed one guy from the left edge and he got to Russell Wilson. It was on the last play of the game.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I think it's a bad matchup for the Seahawks offense, but then their O-line's so bad, most of them look bad. But the Cardinals will do exactly what the Redskins did, and I don't know if I can see the Seahawks doing a great job against that. But I also can't see Drew Stanton and Adrian Peterson having a huge amount of success against the Seahawks. So how do you guys see this one going?
I've got the Seahawks winning this one. I think relatively comfortable. I think Russell Wilson's been throwing some good yardage and stuff recently and having some good games. He threw a couple of interceptions last week, but
he struggled mightily.
Yeah, he got going in the second half. But as long as their kicker can get his...
I didn't mention that. Bear Walsh did cost them that game.
Yes. I think the Seahawks will win this. I think it'll be a close affair because the Cardinals-Seahawks games normally are. But I think Seattle will come away with this one, relatively ending the Cardinals season.
Dan?
Never. I believe until the end. However, I've got a couple of things.
Do you believe it's a must-win for the Cardinals, though?
Every game is a must-win from this point onwards. We've dropped the allowed 4 games. But
you can lose 6.
No, you can't. Anyway, not considering we're going to be realistically competing for a wild card spot. No, we can't afford to lose any more games. The thing is, though, is with this game, obviously, as you said, Zona loved the blitz. And as Washington showed, that seems to be a great weakness of Seattle in order to shut that offense down. The other thing is it's the Seahawks on the road. They don't have the best record playing away, ever.
Yeah.
They are a very weak team on the road, and it's at Arizona. And hopefully, right, this is at the midpoint of the season now. We need the secondary to step up and actually play. We need Tyrann Mathieu to actually, do something.
Yeah, he's been very disappointing.
Don't talk to me about the honey badger. He is no longer a honey badger. He is a timid kitten. If we can get the run game sort of going with Adrian Peterson, I think that's where we'll have the success. If we can keep the division between the long passes and the running game to keep the defense honest. But if we,
it's going to have to be Adrian Peterson is going to have to live up to that all-day nickname.
Yeah,
you cannot have Drew Stanton throwing against this
group. You could.
He's going to have to get as many carries as he was getting last week.
Yeah, I mean we're going to need to be looking at 25 to 30 carries, I think, for Peterson. If this offense is going to have success, that is why I personally have the Hawks winning this game. Is just I do not trust Drew. I trust the Seahawks to get turnovers off of Drew Stanton, whereas Russell Wilson, I think he'll have a rough night, but I don't think he gives the ball.
There's also the other consideration to be made here, which is I would argue Stanton is also playing for a career now because Palmer coming back next year, not going to happen. So Stanton, if he could step up to the plate and show that he could be a good QB. That's
motivated QB argument.
Yeah, but that saves the Cardinals so much hassle in the off season. We can focus more on the O line at that point instead of having to ship about in the draft or otherwise for QB. I think the Cardinals steal this. To be honest with you, I reckon this is going to be a hard fought, really good game.
Fair enough. Well, you're looking more excited to it than most of the rest of the world, but I think it could be a fun, low-scoring kind of affair. And mistakes. It's going to be down to which defence can get the turnovers, I think, which sounds like a cop-out because it's true most of the time. But in this case, I don't think either team will move the ball with much success. So field position will be everything. We'll move on. We've got the Packers heading to Chicago to play the Bears.
Not this game.
Yeah, the longest rivalry in the league. The Packers offense was woeful on Monday against the Lions. I mean, really poor. We saw the defense really struggling with how much they were on the field, and the Bears had the week off. And I've been impressed with the Bears. It's like John Fox's dream, this team now, because he gets to run the ball like 50 times a game and just play defense.
Yeah, I think this is the week. I think the Bears can start trying to claw their way back in that division. They will put them 2 games out, with Minnesota being on the bye as well. I just, with how inept the Packers offense was, I can't see them in this game with how good that Bears defense has been this year.
Yeah, the Bears defense is significantly better than the Lions, in my opinion. And I think the Bears will run all over them. It's just going to be Jordan Howard for like 30 carries, Tariq Cohen chipping in. Yeah, I've got the Bears winning this one.
I've got the
Bears. How do you see this one going?
Well, you pretty much said everything there is to say. Green Bay are shocking at the moment. I thought with time in that system, he had at least got something together. But I don't know. I mean, it is the Bears. Do you really trust the Bears?
I trust their front seven and I trust their run game. I've got no idea what they're going to do at this point. Just no idea. He's hard to judge this season because the receivers are so bad.
Well, I'm just going to take the Bears anyway because it's an Aaron Rodgers Green Bay, so.
Yeah, if ever there's an argument that he's the most valuable player in football, just watch the Packers without him.
I'm pretty sure this is the same argument we used the year Peyton went down in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, but everyone knew that was just Peyton Manning and some other players. There were some great players on those teams, but it wasn't a shock they were terrible when he was gone. Next up, we got for years this was the worst game in the NFL. It's still not great. The Browns head into Detroit to take on the Lions in the battle of tortured fan bases.
Spoiler alert: the Browns go 0-9.
Well, they had a week off. But the Lions, their offense finally got going this week.
Yeah.
Stafford looked good. They've got Decker back at tackle, which it looked like it made a big difference. We'll get to see because should have a healthy Myles Garrett. But yeah, it's hard to look beyond the Lions winning this one. They're at home. They actually have something to play for. The Browns, they still can't make up their minds who's playing quarterback. Right?
I'm sure we'll see that again in this game.
Yeah. Dan, do you want to keep this one nice and short and pick the Lions? Then we can move on.
Yeah, is anyone... I don't even think Browns fans are picking the Browns for this one.
Especially not on the road. Maybe I can make an argument for them if they're at home. We've got the Steelers heading to Indy to take on the Colts.
Steelers. Yeah, this was the game.
Steelers coming off a bye. The Colts, I mean, they won at the weekend, but...
By default, to Sean Watson not beating them.
They beat Tom Savage.
Congratulations.
Yeah. T.Y. Hilton had a big day.
Can't see that happening again this week. The Steelers secondary has been really well this year.
Steelers defense has been exceptional. And expect Le'Veon Bell to go ham. So, yeah, we've got the Steelers winning this one comfortably.
Yeah.
I don't even need to give my input.
Yeah, all on a Steelers sweep there. Sneaky good game. The Chargers playing the Jags in Jacksonville.
I
fear for Philip Rivers' life a little bit. But then I see the same for Bortles.
I do. But you've got two really good front sevens going against each other. But what I think for me is what quarterback do you rely on or what running game do you rely on? Because it's going to be Melvin Gordon and Fournette.
Yep.
But then I think it comes down to what quarterback do you rely on. And in that case of it, I'm relying on Philip Rivers. I think the Chargers are going to take this one. I think it's going to be a really good game, actually. But I think they're just going to sneak by in this one. I think the experience will come out in this game.
Yeah, I've got the Chargers taking this one. I mean, maybe I've been a bit too committed to one of my other smaller bandwagons, the Chargers one. But I just feel the way Bosa is playing at the minute, him and Ingram are going to make some plays in this one. Both of these quarterbacks might die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go to Chargers. I've just got a gut feeling. And as I say, if they win this weekend, they're my new wildcard pick. Them and the Bills. My two bandwagon teams.
See, I'm going to disagree with both of you because one, the Chargers are on the road, and two, okay.
You don't like.
No, it's not a case of not liking the Chargers. It's, right, yeah, Philip Rivers.
Yeah, but you don't like the Chargers. You've gone against the Chargers every week.
It's because he's got a strange vendetta against Philip Rivers. He wears a bolo tie. How can you hate a man that wears a bolo tie and produces children at a rate of like one a year?
Quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I'm going to take Jacksonville. Bortles may be worse, but the Jacksonville defense is better.
It's a good game. I'm going to enjoy it. Pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it. Next up, one of my bandwagon teams faces a challenge. The Saints head into Buffalo to take on the Bills. Saints, I mean, they end up with a comfortable win over the Bucks, who just tanked in that one. Breeze is playing really well right now.
Yeah, but the whole team is playing well. The Saints defense have kind of come through together as well.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara playing better each week, it seems.
Yeah.
But then you got the Bills. There was a real tough loss for them that game. They'd have been looking very comfortable to make the playoffs had they beat the Jets in that one. But frankly, they just got handled.
Yeah, I think the Bills will try and bounce back in this game, but I just don't see them being able to overcome the Saints. I think Saints take this one.
I don't know. Dan?
This is probably one of the bigger tests Buffalo are going to face all year. I don't know. I mean, if there's a test to see if you're worthy of the playoffs, this is definitely it. but I'm gonna say Buffalo because I still don't think New Orleans have a defense, and Buffalo have won some gritty games this year, so I think they take this.
Yeah. I'm going with Buffalo. I think Breeze will struggle in Buffalo. Those fans are going to be going nuts in this one. That secondary is playing really well, and I think they'll just struggle to deal with how dynamic Tyrod Taylor is. And LaShawn McCoy, I've got the Bills winning a close one, but this could go either way. That, and I'm on that Bills bandwagon, so I've kind of got to pick them. So 1 Saints, 2 Bills. Fair dues. We'll move on. We've got the Jets coming off a really good win, headed to Tampa to take on the Jameis Winston and Mike Evans-less Buccaneers.
Jets.
This one's a one. Sorry, man. It's Jets.
I'm going with the Bucks, and hear me out on this because I think my logic is sound, and I might be able to win you both over here. It's the Jets, right? What they do is they build their fans up to bring them crashing down. Now, this season's been nothing but positivity. Now, they're headed to take on Ryan Fitzpatrick.
This is true. It's a revenge game.
Jets fans crashing back down to earth, losing to a horrible Buccaneers team, missing its best wide receiver, missing their starting quarterback, and playing, your total failure from last year in Ryan Fitzpatrick. There you go.
So what you're telling me is Spite will win this game for you?
No. Jets,
yeah, but it's 2 former quarterbacks going against their old teams, so...
Yeah, but Jets history dictates that they will lose this game.
You know what? I'm gonna Spite.
Still upset.
I'm just gonna be an arse here, and I'm gonna go. This is actually one of those games I could realistically see being a tie, just to screw you both over.
I've got
That's
the Jets.
right. It makes the tiebreakers simpler when it comes to draft order for the Bucks. This Bucks team is a mess right now. It's really hard to pick them based on what we saw last week. But yeah, I'm going for it just because, one, I'm not going to pick the Jets over the Buccaneers. I mean, I'm just not. And yeah, I stand by my Jets history lesson. That's just how it is. The Jets has been built up, especially beating the division rival in what felt like a must-win game. It's the perfect time for Ryan Fitzpatrick to bring him back down to earth. So that's my argument, and I'm sticking with it. Next up, we got the Vikings heading to Washington, take on the Redskins. Teddy Bridgewater backing up. Skins, good win last week. Defense played really well again.
Yeah.
Have been impressive. Kirk Cousins just needs some receivers that will make some plays consistently, damn it. However, this Vikings team, they're really good. Yeah. It is rough having to play the Seahawks and then the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's quite the gauntlet. I'm a big fan of the Vikings. I've got them winning this game. The Redskins have all those injuries on the offensive line.
Yeah, I don't see them being able to overcome the awesomeness that has been that Vikings defense this year. I just can't see it. They're
playing great on every level. Everson Griffin's having a great season. Harrison Smith's playing fantastic. Xavier Rhodes, they're great at linebacker. They're really good. And the offense, it's got some nice pieces. I think they'll be efficient, and I think they'll get it done. I can't see the Redskins putting up enough points to overcome this team.
No, not at all. Yeah, I'll move the Vikings on this one.
Dan?
I think this may be one of the things that start ending Washington season. They do not have a single tool in that chest that can compete with that Minnesota defense.
You finally come round. We've been going on about this Vikings defense for a long time.
I said the Vikings defense was good. However,
we've been saying it was great since way before the season started.
Yeah, but 6-2 you can't argue with. Washington, on the other hand, no. Offensive line injuries, Cousins is throwing to nobody. Their defense is pretty good, so it could be a fairly close game.
Performing far better than I would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a fairly close game, but I can't see Minnesota, that defense, letting this one away from them.
No, not with the issues the Skins offense has. No. It's a shame because the Skins really need this one. They need it bad, but I can't see it. Next up, we've got the Bengals, who, after that loss last week, I can finally say they are who I thought they were heading into the year. All the problems I saw this team having are present. The lack of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, which stems from a really bad O-line. Defensively, they're pretty good, but they struggle to make big impact plays. The Titans had another underwhelming victory over, we all know that we're not fans of this year's version of the Baltimore Ravens. And they managed to win. The scoreline makes it look less comfortable than it was. But
it was a lot more comfortable. We gave up to 2 late drives. Yeah, we've done that in a couple of games this year as well.
But it wasn't the most convincing performance. There were some slight steps on offense. First half, it was kind of the opposite. First half, you played well. Second half was very drab.
Yeah, we had that one clutch drive in the second half where Mariota looked really good. The whole offense, the whole offense just played really well on that one drive in that second half. But the Titans have just done a great job of protecting our home field this year. We've played in close games and edged out close games. Yes, it has been underwhelming, but we're getting the end victory, which is all that counts.
Victories are the thing that matter. And I think they have another victory here.
Yeah, I do as well. I think we will. I think we struggle a bit more against the defense, but that O-line had, apart from a few sacks that we gave up last week, one of them wasn't really on anyone's fault. Mariota tripped over on that play. Should have taken the sack and not got up, but still. Our O-line played really well in that game. I think we pass protected really well. Gave Mariota all day. I'd just like to see the run game get.
The run game's been real disappointing this year. I mean,
each back is on about 350 yards and a couple of touchdowns each. It's not good.
No.
I think DeMarco's hampered with injuries though. So,
a bit of dynamism from this offense.
Well, I can almost guarantee you we're going to see Adoree Jackson on offense again. I can guarantee you the Titans have been very, very boring with play calling. If something works, we're going to keep doing it.
Fair enough. Dan, I'm guessing you're on the Titans as well.
Absolutely. However, this is also one of those games I can also see them losing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can always see the Titans losing to a bad team. They have this amazing ability to play down to their opponents.
Well, it's not just that as well. I mean, you won against the Ravens, but you struggled mightily in that second half, and
couldn't put the
very conservative.
Yeah, and if anything, this Cincinnati defense is technically better than the Ravens are. However, I think this game's going to come down to one thing only. For the Titans to secure a good, proper win, if Bayard keeps up what he's doing and gets 1 or 2 more picks this game, and the Titans can actually capitalise on points from it, that will decide this game. But this seems like one of those games that Tennessee can lose. They shouldn't, but they could.
Well, Tennessee's been playing great against the run, and the secondary's gelling at the moment, so the defense is playing a lot better.
Well, we'll move on to what could have been such an exciting game. What could have been.
It really should have been.
The Texans head to LA to take on the Rams.
Yeah, this game should have been really good.
Yeah. Instead, the Texans, they're just a bad team now. The injuries to the defense, the lack of Deshaun Watson. We saw it. They lost to the Colts and they lost somewhat handily.
Yeah.
Really ugly game. O-line stinks. They needed Watson's mobility. And the Rams, that offense is just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Andrew Whitworth might be the signing of the season.
Yes.
And Jared Goff might be a Pro Bowler. Something I didn't think I'd be saying this year. Todd Gurley back to his best. And defensively, they're improving. So, yeah, I can't see anything other than a comfortable Rams victory here.
Yeah, I had same sort of victory as last week. I think the Texans defense aren't playing well either at the moment, and the offense I think is so has been hit by the Deshaun Watson injury that they're just not playing up to their potential at all. They've been kind of deflated by that.
Or DeAndre Hopkins. The quarterback carousel just keeps on turning for him.
And Will Fuller as well. He was having a good year. Damn my fantasy team.
Dan, you're going Rams in this one.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, you've got to go Rams in this one. This is a heavily depleted Houston team, so Rams all the way.
Man, a Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff shootout, which we never thought I'd be saying at the start of the season, but that would have been fun. Next up is an interesting game. Cowboys heading to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. So we'll start with you, Dan, since you're the biggest believer that the Falcons can bring back some of the magic from last season.
Well, I believe in Matt Ryan. He's definitely one of my favourite QBs in the league, and he's reliable as all hell. The problem is though with Atlanta is I wouldn't say necessarily it's the offense is disappointing. That I don't know where that defense from last year's gone.
It is.
Yeah, but the defense is the bigger thing. Because last year they played decent defense. This year, not.
Last year they played okay defense.
They played well enough to get to the Super Bowl, but at this point,
they were opportunistic defensively. I would say last year they're not making the impact plays on either side of the ball, and Matt Ryan, like that run game last year, as well as Matt Ryan played, I think the run game was kind of the fulcrum. That whole team was based on offensively. It's been underwhelming.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. The thing is though, it's also hard to really bet against Atlanta at home as well.
The Cowboys are just playing better right now. The Cowboys looked like a really good team last week against the Chiefs. Both sides of the ball, other than that ridiculous touchdown they gave up to Tyreek Hill, which was, I mean, it was hilarious.
It was.
But there's still something about Dallas just something about the team that doesn't sit right with me. I don't think they're as good as people think they are.
I'm not enormously convinced by them as a team, but I think when they're healthy, they've got a lot of elements going for them. The pass rush is really good right now. They can control games at the line of scrimmage on offense. As long as Zeke is there and running well, they're quite hard to stop because Dak is just really good at playing off of a good run game. Dangerous on the play action. He can run. The receivers, they've got guys. No one's playing exceptionally well. But
I'm going to take Atlanta anyway, because if there's a time of the year I trust Matt Ryan to perform, it's the arse end of the season. So I think Atlanta pick it up from here.
I'm going to go with Atlanta as well. I think they need this game. Both teams do, really, but I think the Falcons, it feels like if they lose this one, they're behind a lot of teams in that wild card race, and the Cowboys would be a big tiebreaker, you'd have to think. So I think at home they really, really need this one. As long as they can pass protect, I think they get the win.
I'm going with the Cowboys. The reason behind that is I think the Falcons are. The reason I think they're doing so bad on offense right now is because of losing their offensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan, last year. And I think what you've got now is a guy replicating his playbook. And it's not having the same effect.
Well, I think
a Kyle Shanahan playbook. It's
that,
someone running it that's not him.
There's just so many players that aren't performing at the same level they did last year on the offense. The line isn't playing as well. As a result, the run game isn't as effective. Julio is playing fine, but he's not dominating games. Matt Ryan just isn't as dynamic as he was last year. He's playing like regular Matt Ryan to me.
Yeah.
And they're just, to me, the Falcons are like the definition of an 8-8 team right now. Like, you wouldn't say either side of the ball they're particularly bad, but you wouldn't say they've been particularly good. They're meh.
Yeah.
They're like the Andy Dalton of teams at the minute. Actually, that might be a bit harsh. I'm sticking with it anyway. Next up, oh my goodness, the Giants and the Niners in San Fran. The Niners might get that win.
My Niners might get that win. Or they might be the first to go 0-10.
What was that from the Giants? Like, as bad as I feel as a Buccaneers fan.
Oh, they've given up.
That was even worse.
It's a team that's given up.
Yeah, I mean, Ben McAdoo looks like he's totally lost that locker room.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of the same this week. I think it might be actually a close game, but a bad close game. But I'll give the Niners this one. It's more of a coin toss game, but I'll give the Niners this one.
I feel so bad for the Niners in that, heading into the year, I said promising young defense of all these young talented players, and now they're all dying. They're like dropping like flies.
Yeah,
that's tough. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Niners. They got to get their win somewhere. This seems as good a spot as any. Dan, are you super excited for this one?
Whoa.
game of the week.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, I've got to mention, Game Pass, right? How do they pick their game of the week? Do they just pick a game out of a hat? Because
last week they picked the Bucks, didn't they?
Yeah, Buccaneers, Panthers last week.
Oh no, last week they had Houston, Indy.
This weekend, yeah, Houston. In the week before it was Bucks, Panthers.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is no one's game of the week.
No.
And it's been that way throughout the year. I don't know how they're doing it. It's terrible. Like, what I don't get is it's counterproductive. Like, if you're not a massive NFL fan, you're like, I'll get this Game Pass. I've got the free trial or whatever. And, you're probably going to watch the game of the week.
Yeah.
And you end up watching that Houston Indy game. You're like, I don't see what all the fuss is about. It sucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. Give us a genuine goddamn game of the week. Don't patronise us over here in Europe. Like, most of us know what we're talking about. Next up, this game should have been great. Patriots, Broncos.
Yeah, should have been, but it's not going to be, and it's only going to go one direction.
It looks that way. The Patriots look like they're just... they're not looking particularly impressive the last few games. Defense obviously improved from what it was, but the offense kind of slowed down, looking more like last year's version. But the Broncos, I mean...
They've just got way too many O-line troubles. The defense is not playing as well as it played in the first 4 games.
The teams are able to run on them.
Their quarterback, well, let's not talk about that.
Yeah. I'm not ever going to pick Brock Osweiler to beat Bill Belichick's defense.
I'm not going to pick Brock Osweiler over Tom Brady in my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even dream about picking that.
The Patriots do traditionally struggle at Mile High, but...
Against Brock Osweiler? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Good old Brock Lobster. He's terrible. So, are we all...
So, I wasn't expecting that. Brock Lobster.
Yeah, it's because he throws the ball like he's got lobster claws for hands.
Brock Lobster.
We'll move on from that one. We're all on the Patriots because we have eyes. Next up, Monday night, the Dolphins head into Carolina. I'd safe to say 2 of the most disappointing offenses in football. 2 of the better defenses in football. This could be
an ugly game. Yeah, this is an ugly one.
Yep.
But I take the Panthers.
Yeah, the Dolphins O-line stinks. The Panthers D-line's been playing great.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler is going to be beaten up, and I think that'll be the big difference. And the Dolphins' defense has struggled in the last couple of games, so yeah, Panthers for me. Dan?
I don't know. I'm going to take Miami. I don't need a reason. I'm just taking them. I don't like Carolina and I don't like Cam Newton, so Miami.
Yeah, and you do love Jay Cutler.
No, I like meme Cutler.
Yeah, the NFL is a better place with Jay Cutler memes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not going to disagree with that. It's a much better place with meme Cutler. But I don't know. I reckon
Yeah.
Miami somehow get this one, just because it seems the typical thing for Carolina to do: go on a decent win rate and then start tanking again.
I don't know. They're tough at home. I think they'll win that one comfortably. So there we go. That's all of the games. Who have we got on the bye this week?
Actually, look.
The Ravens. Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Talked about the Ravens.
Before you start talking about teams on the bye, I want to bring up the most important one, which is the Chiefs. What the bloody hell is going wrong?
I mean, going wrong. They lost to a pretty good team. They struggled offensively
But they've
in that
dropped
game.
to teams they shouldn't have. This is my point. Like they shouldn't have lost that Raiders game.
The Chiefs' secondary is really struggling at the moment.
Also, is
When the pass rushes are there, teams are picking them apart.
Berry's out for the year as well, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Oh god damn
Ruptured
it!
Achilles. You don't come back from those. Yeah, the pass rush wasn't great in this game, which it's against Dallas, and the offense. Kareem Hunt has really cooled off. I think teams have sort of started to figure out how he was running a little, and just game planning for him better. And Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are great and all, but Tyreek Hill's not a high volume catch player, and Kelce, you can game plan against just those two. Without the Hunt dynamic, this offense isn't looking quite as effective. So they just need some more guys to step up on offense and make plays. They need to fix that secondary, but they're still a good team.
Oh, I think they're still a good team. It's just with the AFC race tightening up now, towards the end, they need to start putting teams away good and proper, not dilly-dallying, which is what they seem to have done for the past few games.
They've just got to find a way to fix those issues. Their pass rushers need to get healthy. Because bear in mind, Houston, Harley's only just come back off injury, and D Ford and Houston are both battling injuries at the minute, and I think it's having an effect. We've also got the Ravens. We've kind of spoke about them. They're just not good. That offensive one is just terrible.
I can safely say the Ravens are probably the only team in the NFL that are going to have such a terrible season, but the head coaching job is safe as houses. You will never get rid of Harbour. He'll die and be buried in Baltimore before they get rid of him.
The thing is, this season's been sabotaged somewhat by injuries, and defensively they're solid, but there's work to be done there. That offense is just atrocious, but what can you do? Got the Raiders as well. I mean, they kept their season alive with that win, but it feels like it's hanging by a thread.
Yeah, I don't see them making it though, but
they're not good enough.
They're so hot and cold.
Yeah, I don't trust them defensively, and the offense is just inconsistent at this point. So I'm disappointed in them. I was really expecting more from them this year. How are you, Dan? What were you expecting from the Raiders?
Not this. I can tell you that much. Well, the thing is though, is that the start of the season, that first game against the Titans, they looked like the team I was expecting them to be. But
yeah, they're really efficient in that one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously defense for the Raiders was questionable all season. They got a couple of studs on the defense, but as a unit, not great. The car issues have surprised me because he was damn near perfect last season. This season he's just all over the shop. His receivers got butterfingers, and there's no running game.
Yeah, the offense all round in every facet has been disappointing, and the NFL's best team at this stage. And I hate saying it because, Lord knows, as a Bucs fan, I'm not fond of the Eagles, but yeah, they're firing on all cylinders.
Well, there's not much more that could be said about a 7-1 team. That's not just winning games; they're dominating teams.
Now they're 8-1.
Oh, sorry, 8-1. So I'm still operating like I'm in week 8.
Yeah, no, they look very good.
The thing is, though,
there's some problems. Like the offensive line won't be as good at the end of the day. Using Joseph Peters will show the secondary has played really well, but I'm not convinced they're great. Other than that, I mean, I think they're just playing so well. I'm just trying to find, an angle here.
The thing is, though, at the start of the season, who would have thought we'd be sitting here and the Eagles would have a better record than, the Patriots, Pittsburgh, Green Bay. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers' injury notwithstanding.
I predicted them to be tied for the number 2 seed and it to go down to tiebreakers. So I saw the Eagles being good, partly because I'm a big believer in Carson Wentz. And you know how I feel about their D-line. I thought they were going to be really good this year. Didn't think they'd be this good. Really didn't. So,
well, no, why would?
Yeah, they're definitely the favourites at this point. So before we wrap up, anything anyone else wants to bring up?
I think we've covered all cylinders for this week and coming in.
The only thing I can think of, but this is purely just to, curb my own personal annoyance at this subject, is I am actually hoping some team actually signs Kaepernick and starts him just so he can prove that he is as shit as he always was, and people will stop banging on about it.
Always, those first 2 years, he was great.
Yeah, under Harbour.
Yeah.
And what happened after Harbour left?
And on a very talented team.
And a very talented defence.
Oh, all round. They were talented on
yeah,
offense.
But I actually want someone to sign him now just so people will just shut up and he'll prove how rubbish he actually is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I empathise, and I've got no doubt that whole political side of it has had an impact on whether a team wants to bring him in. But this is also the NFL. If he'd shown he can play, a team would have picked him up. Look at Michael Vick. That was far more controversial after he came out of prison for that dog scandal.
Or Ray Lewis.
Yeah. That was always going to be the case. But that's the thing. Talent trumps all. And whilst I do believe Kaepernick's got the talent, those last couple of years of film are terrible. So I think it's a big leap of faith to bring him in, have to deal with all that hoorah around it, especially for a backup as well. I mean, you never know. Maybe the Packers could consider it because they could still keep their season alive, but I just don't think it's worth the hassle. And he's just not shown me in the last few years he's good enough to. So yeah, that's that. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I could bang on about how the offensive line play around the league is terrible, but that's about it, really.
Well, we've got. I mean, the mid-season review. I mean, are you guys able to do that tomorrow, or is that going to be a solo episode?
I probably won't be able to make that one tomorrow.
I might be.
Well, it'll either be a solo episode or it'll be just me and Dan, but we'll talk more about that kind of thing tomorrow. Cool. That's that then. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. As always, check out the channel. Things have been a little bit slower in terms of my solo episodes. I've been re-watching a lot of games, which has been, at times, really, really challenging for these mid-season reviews. The mid-season review episode. So that episode is going to be really informative. Definitely recommend checking that out, whether it's solo or not. Just trying to get a better handle on the league. So check that out. Next week should be returning to normal reviews and previews. Of course, this episode, the Bucks banter the Titans report. So yeah, keep checking the channel out. As always, if you could like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon. That'd be awesome. I will redo the Patreon one day. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great evening and go Bucks.